I have a bunch of different sets that I want to show. Again, know your personnel. If I have a shooter that can shoot, a non-shooter may want to cut more. A shooter may space, but is letting that big shoot good for our offense. Maybe that big is getting used to setting more screens away. Like, know exactly what it is that you're trying to execute and give your team a chance to be successful. Now, this is a quick little wrinkle coming out the second half, popping out to the wing. You've seen this many times. Right now, I'm designating number 30 to be that big. So number 13 setting this ball screen. He's making contact. So questions are like, what do you do if this is a non-shooter? You see the defender right here. It does you no good to have him set at the three-point line if he can't make the shot. A lot of teams that I've been a part of, we've taught to simply follow the help. It's what we say, follow the help. This guy helps, you just follow right behind. You're putting pressure. Like, what is this defender going to do? Is he going to take away the cut? Or is he going to stick to a player of the year? He stays with number 0, obviously number 30. He can cut back door, level of physicality, finishes at the rim. Couple different sets. You see this with Duke. Now, he doesn't hand the ball off right here. Sets this pin down, he keeps it. If he does hand this ball off, you see number 1 coming to set this cross screen for number 12. So he has the ability, if number 7 gets this ball, he has the ability to find number 12, Boozer, going to the block. He also has a shooter coming out right behind him, as this is a basic screen to screen action. So I do like a little wrinkles that you can help your players or put them in a position to be successful. But even then, they get it to number 7. He's always almost at half court because he sets a good screen. Look, number 12 is still able to catch the ball and finish at the rim. I said finish. I know he missed it, but you get the concept. Knowing your game plan, knowing the defense and what they like to do. I don't know how much film is readily available. Obviously, I'm at the college level. We study a bunch of film. I look at the best offensive games, the best defensive games, the worst offensive games, the worst defensive games, and try to get an identity of my opponent. If I know my opponent loves a hard hedge 4 and 5, you have a way of thinking or an identity for your team that you guys are working on all week. Hey, they may hard heads, they may show, quick show, whatever the case may be. How can you manipulate that to get easy offense? They may try to switch. What are we going to do? They may have we call it a goalie. One five man just sits in the middle of the paint because he know our 5 man can't shoot. How can we manipulate that? You will see a couple different wrinkles throughout this presentation, but as much as you can study your opponent to know what they're trying to do, it can give you some easy points when you need a player to, especially out of timeouts. You may not have the ability to walk through so much pregame prior to that week as the game is leading up. Maybe you don't want to give your players too much information. Completely understand that. I love that. Maybe it's something you can draw up on the board as a coach in a timeout. So you see Michigan, they studied their opponent, knew that this big was going to come out, quick show. He stays right at that 3-point line. I've seen Golden State run this a million times, hits him, number 21 dives. So you see we just almost the exact same clip as number 30 when he was over there. This guy's a shooter. So he stays spaced out to be able to get this shot, to be able to shoot it. If this was a non-shooter, maybe you tell him to follow. Maybe this is an easy drop off right here for a dunk. But great execution coming out of the half. Maybe that was a tip ball. Great execution coming out. Knew exactly what they wanted. Had an idea of how they were going to be played. You can run a million different horn sets. When we played against UTEP, Coach Golding, he had at least 15 different horn sets, and it's very hard to guard for the simple fact you don't know which one is coming. It could be a horns flare. It could be a horns in this clip. He just empties out for the guard to get downhill. It could be he comes off, throws it back to the big that popped. Now the first big sets a screen away, going right into a DHO for this guy coming out of the corner. It can be so many different things. We had one guy would hit this elbow, he would wrap this first screen, he would reverse it, come right back for this up screen, get the big to this block, come right into a DHO. It's so many different things out of horns. If you guys want to be very creative with that, that's a way to play with two bigs and also try to have a decent amount of spacing that gives your paint a little. room to breathe so that guys can try to get downhill. But again, I'm showing sets right now. When the set does not work, what's the solution? Right here, quick little set. He fakes, he gets out, guy gets downhill, gets in the paint. Especially if you have a heavy right hand driver, maybe you can manipulate knowing the weaker defender on the court. You put him up here, try to get this guy downhill. If this is a shooter right here, you know he's not going to leave. Just be ready to rotate. This guy may rotate. What's the answer over here? Is this guy going to stay in the corner? If you have two bigs, you may tell one big to dive. You may tell one big to space out. If the paint is loaded, say number 15 steps out, he throws it out. Maybe he's not a shooter. He can go right into a DHO with this guard in the corner. So there's a lot of different reactions that you can have, but just make sure your team is prepared for when those things come. Another horns look, hit, goes over. This time is basically a triple. And the one thing that I love, Houston is very aggressive in their coverage. So Tugler, instead of him being able to come out and put a hand on this shot, you see Purdue, this guy pitches it back and gets into his body. So now number two comes off for a shot. This guy's trying to contest it over number one. But it's because of that physicality that we talked about. It's because of understanding their opponent and their aggressiveness, and you use that against him. He left it for the shooter. He rolls to the rim. Now he has great inside rebounding position, and they get an open shot. I'm a huge Rick Barnes fan. I love the fact that they're very aggressive two bigs that they play with. You'll see them multiple times throughout this presentation. But this is something that is just a little wrinkle. Just give your guys just some type of, I guess, function, responsibility, ownership. You see this pin down, you see this flare over here. Comes right back to a pin down on this side. So this guard knows he has the option. This first option, maybe the second option, they'll have anything coming right back with this third option, but just trying to give them something that is not, hey, just go figure it out. Let's see what this looks like. Maybe we feel that we can take an advantage on this. I will say if he's a lot lower, where he's in a scoring threat, maybe a much better position to make this pass, maybe this works. Because Michigan is playing great defense and he's looking at the play, didn't really get much from that action. You guys have seen this a million times, a floppy action coming out either side, quick duck in, 23, able to get to his spot, get to his finish. And then ball screen continuity. So ball screen continuity is something that a lot of teams run. It just gives you a structure and it gives you a way for the players to kind of know exactly where to be, their responsibility and their role. I think there's two type of ball screen continuities. Arizona does what I would call the low ball screen continuity, and that right into a big, you reverse it, DHO and or a ball screen, but this other big is ducking in. He is staying low. So it's putting a lot of pressure. A lot of times they'll try to duck in right here so he can't help on the roll. Right now, he's not ducking in just yet. You see this guy peek over to try to sit on his legs while number 30 is catching it, trying to get to the rim. You have a shooter over here. Now, what I would call high, which I've done a lot of this in my career, you hit, you trail. This guy starts to lift to see what the big does. The big stays, you advance it, go right into an action right here. You should be able to come off with no help from that big. If the big comes high, then maybe you're looking for the roll man because they completely left their responsibility. But a lot of teams, they will bypass your action when the ball screen occurs and go right to their responsibilities. Well-coached teams will take care of their responsibility. We can figure out the rest later. They can scramble, they can scram, whatever your terminology is, but they can try to figure out how to get matched up later. But they go right into their ball screen principles. Again, know your personnel, know the opponent's game plan. You can then execute. But I would have both of these ball screen continuities, high and a low, that you can kind of play.